Sorry, I brought my baby. Those 5 trembling words stopped the entire boardroom. The young woman standing at the door looked fragile, yet strangely brave. Her voice cracked, her eyes glistened with exhaustion and fear, and sitting at the head of the table, the CEO, Ethan Voss, looked up from his tablet and froze. A baby? Here? Every executive turned in their chairs, whispering under their breath. No one brought a child into a multimillion-dollar meeting. But this woman, this trembling single mother, had no choice. The setup. Her name was Leora Hale, 26 years old. Once a promising architecture student, now a single mother balancing 2 part-time jobs, a fussy 6-month-old daughter, and a world that never forgave her for being both poor and alone. She'd received a last-minute call from Voss Enterprises, a rare interview opportunity for a junior design assistant role. The email had said, "Your portfolio caught our eye. Please attend the meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Leora hadn't slept that night. She'd spent it polishing her sketches, ironing her only white blouse, and praying her baby, Mira, wouldn't fall sick again. But when morning came, the babysitter canceled. No one else could help. And so, desperate but determined, Leora wrapped her baby in a soft blanket, whispered an apology to the heavens, and rushed to the interview with trembling hands. The arrival. The lobby of Voss Enterprises gleamed like something out of a dream. High glass walls, marble floors, the air humming with power and perfume. Leora clutched Mira close, feeling painfully out of place among the sleek suits and heels. The receptionist raised an eyebrow when she saw the baby. "Ma'am, children aren't allowed." "I know," Leora whispered. Please, I won't be long. I just need 5 minutes." Something in her voice, raw, honest, pleading, made the receptionist hesitate. She picked up the phone, made a quick call, then looked at Leora again. "Mr. Voss said, you may come up." Leora blinked in disbelief. "Really?" The receptionist nodded. 18th floor. And good luck. The meeting. When the elevator doors opened, the sound of her baby's soft cooing filled the silence of the top floor. Executives looked up in confusion as she stepped out, cheeks flushed with shame. Then she saw him. Ethan Voss, tall, composed, early 30s. A man whose eyes could silence a room without a word. He built his empire from nothing, yet rumor said he smiled only when the markets went up. Leora's breath caught. This was the man who would decide her fate. "Ms. Hale," Ethan said, standing up slowly. His tone was neutral, but his gaze flicked to the bundle in her arms. Leora swallowed hard. "I'm so sorry," she began, voice trembling. "The babysitter canceled, and I didn't want to lose this chance. I know this is unprofessional, I know." But before she could finish, a soft sound interrupted her. Mira giggled. A tiny, happy laugh that filled the tense room like sunlight breaking through clouds. Every head turned. And for the first time that morning, Ethan Voss smiled. An unexpected reaction. He stood, walked toward her, and crouched slightly to peek at the baby. "May I?" he asked gently. Leora froze. You want to hold her?" Ethan nodded. "She seems curious." Cautiously, Leora handed Mira over. Her hands trembled as she watched the powerful CEO cradle her child like something precious. "She's beautiful," he murmured. "What's her name?" "Mira," Leora said softly. "It means light." Ethan nodded, still looking at the baby. Fitting name. The executives in the room exchanged bewildered glances. Their notoriously strict boss, the man who once fired a manager for being 5 minutes late, was now smiling at a baby. After a long pause, Ethan turned back to Leora. "Let's begin," he said calmly. "And don't worry, she can stay." During the interview, the meeting continued with Mira resting in Ethan's arms, occasionally cooing, sometimes tugging at his tie, once even laughing when he made a silly face. Leora tried to focus, explaining her designs, her inspirations, her dreams. But in the corner of her mind, one thought kept whispering. He's not angry. He wasn't mocking her. He wasn't judging her. He was listening. When she spoke about late nights sketching by candlelight, Ethan's eyes softened. When she described turning broken pencils into charcoal sticks just to finish a drawing, he nodded, almost as if he understood that kind of hunger. Finally, when she finished, he placed Mira back in her arms and said quietly, "You remind me of someone I used to know, someone who never stopped trying, even when the world told her to." Leora blinked. "Who?" "My mother," Ethan said simply. After the meeting, when it ended, Leora stood to leave, expecting the worst. Surely, even if he'd been kind, he wouldn't hire a woman who couldn't find childcare. But as she turned toward the elevator, Ethan's voice stopped her. "Ms. Hale," he said. She turned. "Yes, sir? I'll have HR contact you tomorrow." Her breath caught. "You mean?" He smiled faintly. "You're hired. On a 3-month trial. We'll see where it goes from there." Tears filled her eyes. "I thank you. You won't regret it." Ethan shook his head. "I already don't." Later that night, Leora sat in her tiny apartment, Mira asleep beside her. The rain tapped gently on the window, and her heart felt impossibly full. For the first time in years, hope didn't feel like a cruel illusion. She thought about the way Ethan had smiled at her daughter, the way he'd looked at her. Not as a burden, not as a mistake, but as someone worth giving a chance. And in that moment, she made herself a silent promise. She would prove him right. Meanwhile, in his quiet penthouse overlooking the city, Ethan stared out at the rain. His mind wasn't on the numbers or contracts scattered across his desk. It was on a young mother and her baby who'd walked into his world that morning, bringing with them something he hadn't felt in years: warmth. He'd told her she reminded him of his mother. That wasn't the whole truth. She reminded him of himself years ago when the world saw nothing in him, yet someone somewhere had given him a chance. And now maybe it was his turn to do the same for someone else. Soft instrumental swells, fading to silence. End of section 1. Next section preview, section 2. Ethan begins to help Leora quietly, offering flexible hours, secret acts of kindness, and unexpected compassion. But soon, office rumors spread, and Leora faces humiliation once again, until Ethan steps in with a decision that changes everything. Leora's first day at Voss Enterprises felt like stepping into a dream and a nightmare, all at once. Her hands clutched a worn leather bag, her hair tied neatly, though she hadn't slept much. Mira was at a small daycare near the office, a place Ethan's secretary had personally helped her find. Every corner of the building whispered elegance. Fresh flowers, minimalist art, precision. Yet beneath the beauty was pressure, the kind that could crush a person who didn't belong. And that's exactly how Leora felt. Out of place, too humble, too scared to make a mistake. When she walked past the glass meeting room, she could feel the stares. Whispered words followed her. "Isn't that the one who brought her baby? Why would Mr. Voss hire someone like that? She's probably just a charity case." She kept walking, chin up, heart heavy, a quiet act of kindness. By noon, she was drowning in blueprints and design drafts she could barely afford to print. Her computer lagged. The stylus pen she'd brought from home flickered. Then, a knock at her cubicle wall. She turned to find Ethan standing there, sleeves rolled up, holding something. A new digital tablet, top of the line, the kind professionals used. "Mr. Voss, I can't accept that," she said quickly, standing up. "You're not accepting it," he replied calmly. "It's a company asset, for design work. But the others don't have one." He smiled faintly. "They don't draw the way you do." Her lips parted in shock. She wanted to thank him, but words felt too small. As he walked away, she noticed something else. He'd quietly replaced her broken chair. 2 long nights, days turned into weeks, and Leora worked harder than anyone. She stayed late after everyone had gone, resketching models, adding tiny touches no one would notice, but Ethan did. He always did. One night, he walked past her office and paused. She was half asleep at her desk, Myra's tiny photo taped beside her monitor, the soft hum of lullabies playing from her phone. He didn't wake her. Instead, he left a warm cup of coffee beside her and a note. Go home. Your light doesn't shine any less for resting. EV. When she found it in the morning, her eyes filled with tears. The storm. But kindness often draws envy. And soon, whispers became sharper. She's getting special treatment. Did you see the way he looks at her? She's playing the sympathy card. One afternoon, during a team meeting, one of the senior designers, Clara, slammed her file shut. Some of us work years for a chance to present our ideas, she said, her voice dripping with bitterness. Others just bring a baby and get promoted. The room fell silent. Leora froze, her heart sinking. Before she could respond, the glass door opened, and Ethan stepped in. I heard my name, he said quietly. The team went rigid. Clara stammered. We were just discussing fairness, sir. Good, Ethan replied. Fairness is important. He turned to Leora. Ms. Hale, would you show everyone the revised model for the Crestline project? Her hands trembled slightly as she opened her laptop. The screen filled with her design. An elegant, community-centered park layout with a subtle pattern shaped like a mother cradling her child. The room fell silent again, but this time in awe. Ethan looked at Clara. Fairness means crediting talent where it belongs. Ms. Hale's concept just won us the Crestline bid. Then he looked back at Leora. Well done. That was all he said. But the look in his eyes, proud, calm, sincere, was more valuable than any applause. The unseen side of the CEO. As days passed, Leora began to see glimpses of the man behind the title. Ethan wasn't just powerful. He was human, quietly generous in ways no one saw. The janitors always found envelopes on holidays. The interns received bonuses before school started again. And when one employee's father fell ill, the hospital bill mysteriously disappeared. He never announced it, never took credit, but people whispered, the boss must have done it. Leora often wondered why, until one evening, she accidentally overheard him speaking to his assistant. No one helped my mother when she struggled, he said softly. So now, I help who I can. She stepped away quietly, pretending she hadn't heard, but her heart ached for him. When the baby fell sick, one gray Thursday morning, Leora's phone buzzed mid-meeting. It was the daycare. Mira had a high fever. Her breath caught. Panic set in. She stood, apologizing under her breath, and ran out. By the time she reached the clinic, Mira was crying weakly, cheeks flushed. The doctor said it was a viral infection, treatable, but she'd need rest. Leora held her baby close, whispering, Mommy's here, sweetheart. I'm here. When she looked up, she froze. Ethan was standing at the doorway, a bouquet of small white flowers in his hand. Mr. Voss? She gasped. He smiled faintly. You didn't answer your phone. I got worried. Her eyes filled. You didn't have to. I wanted to. He placed the flowers beside Myra's bed, baby's breath and daisies. For her, a little brightness while she heals. Then, without saying more, he turned to Leora. Take the week off. Fully paid. She shook her head. No, I can't. You can, he said firmly. And you will. For a long moment, neither spoke. The hum of the clinic machines filled the silence. Finally, Leora whispered, Why are you so kind to me? Ethan looked down at the sleeping child, then back at her. Because once, he said quietly, someone was kind to me when I didn't deserve it. The rumors return. When Leora came back to work, her heart was light, but the office wasn't. Whispers started again, uglier this time. She's having an affair with the boss. She faked the baby's sickness for sympathy. She's using him. The words spread like wildfire. One afternoon, as she entered the break room, the whispers turned into laughter. Someone had posted a photo on the bulletin board. Her holding Mira at the clinic, Ethan standing beside them. A cruel caption read, Family outing? Leora tore it down, eyes burning. She ran into the restroom, locked the door, and finally let the tears fall. Why did kindness always come with punishment? The confrontation. Later that day, Ethan found her sitting alone in the design room, her face pale. "What happened?" he asked gently. She handed him the photo. "They think I'm using you." He stared at it for a long moment, then quietly tore it in half. "Let them talk," he said. "The truth doesn't need defending." "But it's humiliating," she whispered. "I worked so hard. And everyone who matters knows that." He interrupted softly. She looked up at him, eyes trembling. "You don't understand. You're powerful. You can survive rumors. I can't." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You think I don't understand?" The pain in his eyes was real, deep, old. "I grew up being called trash because my father left and my mother cleaned offices like this one. I built all this just to prove them wrong. So yes, I understand." Her tears fell again, this time not from weakness, but connection. The turning point. That evening, as the office lights dimmed, Ethan called an emergency meeting. The team gathered, murmuring nervously. He stood at the front of the room, gaze sharp, voice steady. "There's been gossip circulating," he said. "I won't tolerate it." He paused, letting silence hang heavy. "Ms. Hale earned her position. Her design secured our biggest contract this quarter. If anyone doubts her place here, they're free to hand me their resignation." No one spoke, not a whisper. Ethan turned to Leora, nodded once, and left the room.